When I forget we are one, and I regret things that I've done, I go within my heart and soul. I start again, knowing I'm whole. God is right here where I am. I am right where I should be. As I fill my mind with peace, I feel it washing over me. God is right here where I am, flowing in and out through me. In this moment, I am free. When things go wrong and my way is dark, when I lose my song and life breaks my heart, oh, I go within my heart and soul. I start again, knowing I'm whole. God is right here where I am. I am right where I should be. As I fill my mind with peace, I feel it washing over me. God is right here where I am, flowing in and out through me. In this moment, I am free. In this moment, I am free.
So in this moment of knowing that we are one with divine mind, with each other, and with this community, I know that the power and presence of Spirit is ever with us, that we are here today to raise our voices in joy, in praise, in celebration of that unity, of our oneness with Spirit, and to recognize the dangers of staying silent when our voices need to be heard. And so I affirm for each one here and for each one listening that we are uplifted, empowered, and supported by this celebration today, by one another, and by the truth as we know it, speak it, and live it. And so with deep gratitude for this time together, for the knowing of this truth, and for the opportunity to raise our voices together in joy, I simply say thank you. And I release this word with deep gratitude and deep faith into a law that is ever operating and does unto us as we believe. And so I invite you all to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, a vibrant community where love, joy, and inclusivity are at the heart of everything we do. Here, we honor the unique journey of every soul, offering a place of healing, growth, and celebration. Together, we create an atmosphere of openness and love, where every person is seen, valued, and accepted just as they are. I am Lori Carlson, a licensed practitioner here at CSLM, and whether you are here in person, great to see you, or joining us on the live stream or checking us out later, we are glad you are here. And we are so happy that you are part of this journey that we are sharing of wisdom, light, and transformation. I am so blessed today to be joined by the amazing Rhonda Dene. You will be graced with 3 more songs today, so this is a joyful thing. The topic for this year at CSL is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And the monthly theme is Raise Your Voice. So how perfect to have Rhonda here with her angelic voice to encourage us all to raise our voices, like I said, in joy, in celebration, and in community. Because what I'm going to be talking about today is when silence is dangerous, when we don't raise our voices. But before we do that, we are going to start as we always start, which is with our Namaste practice. And so Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you. But since this is all about raising our voices, I encourage you to raise your voice and to really speak those words with confidence, with assurance, and with truth. Speak them directly into the eyes of one another. Whether you say namaste, or whether you say the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you, that's up to you. But speak it, use your voice, recognize one another as the divine beings that you are. So put your hands together, turn to someone. The divinity within me recognizes and honors divinity within you.
The divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you.
Namaste. Everybody feel heard? Did everybody raise their voice in recognition? Well, we are blessed to be graced with another song from Rhonda. So let's hear another beautiful angelic voice.
This one's a fun one. Say that. Speaking of saying what you mean. If you don't know how to say what you're feeling, but you feel that you got something to say, when the music all sounds familiar, but you never really learned destined to thrive. When you show up, you got to be braver, and we can't wait for the band to arrive. When you wanna crack your heart wide open, and the words don't seem to open the door, but you're secretly in love with the feeling, and you're positively jumping for joy. Take a tank and say that. Say that, say that. Say that, say that. Woo! Say that, say that.
Woo! Thank you, Rhonda. What a perfect song for the topic of my talk today. That was just amazing. Say that. Yes, when you don't know what to say that. Speak up. So, the topic of my talk today is about the dangers of staying silent. But first, I just want to acknowledge that not all silence is dangerous, right? That there is a sacred silence, a holy silence. That silence where we go within and listen to the divine voice within us. That silence of meditation, of going on retreat, of walking in nature, that silence that connects us with the oneness of Source, that connects us with that divinity within that we recognized in the Namaste practice, right? That silence that is so necessary sometimes to make that connection. Ernest Holmes says, "In the silence of the soul's communion with the infinite, we are renewed, refreshed, and remade." That kind of silence is a holy and sacred thing. A lot of you know that I do a silent meditation retreat 4 times a year, and it's like my favorite day. Go figure, right? Me who seems to like to talk so much. But the being silent and going within is a spiritual practice that is really important and really helpful and really aligns us, lets us become aware of who we truly are. And you know, I've shared this before, that the whole paradigm of what needs to be said, whether it needs to be said by me, whether it needs to be said by me right now. This is the basis of right speech in Buddhism. And a lot of times, silence is the right thing. A lot of times the answer to one of those 3 questions is no. And not speaking is the kind thing, is the loving thing, is the thing that is in alignment with spirit. Often, for me, it is the right thing to do, to not speak, to hold my opinion, to hold the refrain of what I want to inject into whatever is being said. But there is also the time when the answer is yes. Yes, it does need to be said. Yes, it does need to be said by you. And yes, maybe it needs to be said by you right now. The question is, what do you do then? What do you do? Say that. What do you do when it does need to be said? And how do you know the difference, right? So this is where discernment comes in. I love this quote. I never heard of this guy before, but by Bryant Loney. It says, "The greatest talent one can have is learning when to speak and when to not." Well, I would change that a little bit into saying that it is not a talent, it is a skill. Because it is a skill you can develop. It is a muscle you can practice. It is a spiritual practice that is the foundation, that builds a foundation that you can rely on. So the more you practice going within, aligning yourself with spirit, the more it will become clear to you when it is your time to speak and when it is not. So any problem that you have, any lack of clarity you have around that, the answer is always to do your spiritual practices, to go within and to align yourself with the truth that we know in this teaching is always available to us, that already exists within you. You just need to avail yourself of it. You need to make yourself receptive to it. by opening yourself, by becoming aware of who you are, and by continuing to align yourself with truth and with that spirit within that wants to guide you. This is where silence is not a good thing, where you need to step up and speak up. And this is a continual practice. Silence is bad when it comes from a place of fear, when it comes from a place of shame, when it comes from a place of disconnection with spirit, when it is out of alignment with who you are. But of course, you first have to know who you are. You have to know what your values are. You have to know what's important to you. And so you need to spend time in that sacred silence so that you do not retreat and hide in the silence of fear, so that you know when it is yours to speak up. Because if you don't, those moments of retreating and of not speaking up can become a habit. They can become a pattern. They become a way of living where you are never standing in truth. And that is not who you are here to be. You are here to be an expression of spirit. You are here to be the divine voice of spirit. And so this is where you come into alignment to know that. And you know, I don't know about you, but a lot of us grew up with, children should be seen and not heard, don't rock the boat, just like, keep your opinions to yourself, go along to get along. That whole idea of just maintaining the status quo. And there's a time and a place for that. I know they say, don't bring up, politics, religion, or money at Thanksgiving so that you can get along with your family. Well, there's a time when not speaking is the correct thing, is the kind thing, is the loving thing. But there is also a time when it is not. When you hear someone say something that is hurtful and you don't say anything. When you hear someone be judgmental and you don't say anything. By not speaking up, by not saying anything, you are complicit. You are agreeing with it. Now here's some personal stories. So a lot of you know I used to be a waitress at Friendly's. And when I was working at Friendly's, all of the servers would gather at the cash register, and when someone went off to serve their table, everyone would immediately start to trash talk them. As soon as you walked away, you knew that they were all going to be saying something about you, because that's what happened when anybody else walked away. And so I was very early in my spiritual journey then. And so, at the beginning, you want to be part of, so, you're participating. And then this, really didn't sit well with me. And more, it used to really make me feel kind of ill. And so I started walking away. They would start to talk and I would just walk away because I didn't want to participate and I didn't want to be the ears listening, because my sponsor, very wise woman, told me that when you're listening, you are giving somebody permission to speak. If they don't have the ears to hear, they have nobody to say it to, then you are not allowing that, right? So I started walking away. And as soon as they would start to talk, I would walk away. I would like to think that if I was in that position now, not only would I walk away, but I would raise my voice. I would like to think that now I have progressed enough on my spiritual journey that I would say, hey guys, this isn't right. Let's not do this. And not just not participate myself, but take a stand. Take a stand for the truth that I believe in. Because that's what I believe. I believe that we should not be putting out that kind of negative energy. That we should not be talking about other people. If you're not going to say it in front of them, don't say it at all. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything, right? I grew up with those things too. But I also recognize that that's not so easy. So walking away is at least a first step, because then you're not participating. But standing in your truth and raising your voice and breaking the silence around it, that's what we're talking about today. I also, you'd think that, like I said, I'm somebody who likes to talk, so why do I have so much trouble with silence? But in my story, I do have trouble speaking up. In my relationship, a lot of you know my boyfriend passed in October, but in my relationship with my boyfriend, I was often guilty of not bringing something up because I just don't want to deal with this, or, I just want to have a nice day, I don't want to argue, or, it'd be simpler just to not bring this up. There were times when I had things to tell him that I would postpone until the very last minute because I just didn't want to argue about it for weeks. And what did that cause? That caused mistrust on his part because he felt like I wasn't being honest with him, which I wasn't. We call it lies of omission in 12-step. And it brought up resentment and anxiety in me because I knew eventually I was going to have to deal with it. So it was frustrating and it brought up anxiety. So when you know that something needs to be said and you don't address it in a timely manner, you are not helping anyone. You are not creating peace. Like I thought I was, let's just keep the peace, right? You're not, because neither of you in a personal relationship, neither of you is really happy with where things are, because you both get the sense that something's not right? I mean, the other person senses it just as much as you are uncomfortable. There's a anonymous saying that says, I will not stay silent so that you can stay comfortable. And I think that's really important, but for me, I often stayed silent so I could stay comfortable, not so the other person could stay comfortable. And that's an important thing to remember. I wasn't comfortable. I thought at the time, it seemed temporarily like it made it easier for that afternoon, but then I went home and it lived in my head, right? And then he went home and it lived in his head about whether I was being honest with him, whether I was trusting him. So what I did by not speaking the truth was not allow the relationship to grow, to not allow for a greater conversation that might have been uncomfortable, might have not been, might have not gone the way I wanted, but that would allow for something new to emerge. That was trusting in standing in truth. I'd like to think I do it differently today. I don't have that opportunity in my relationship with him now, but I do have it in the relationship I have with others. I have it in the relationship I have with friends, with coworkers, with community. And so now I try to recognize what is the truth, what is my truth, and say it, even when it might make me or the other person uncomfortable. Not in a way that is aggressive, that is combative, that is divisive, but in a way that is just calmly affirming my truth. And that is something that this world needs really badly right now. I know that when you stay silent, like I said, it is as if you are agreeing with it, right? But when you zoom out from interpersonal relationships to the greater world, we see that. There's a great video that I saw on Facebook, but I'm sure it's on YouTube, of a teacher who throws a student out of class, just randomly says, you. And it said, you, out of my class. And she's like, what? And he just goes, you, out of my class. And everyone else just sits there. And she gets up and leaves, like, all upset. And then he turns to the rest of the class and he says, was what I just did just? And everybody says, no. And he said, then why didn't anyone speak up? And the whole class is sitting there like, and he said, because it didn't affect you personally. But if you don't speak up for others, eventually it will affect you personally. And I know from personal experience that those kids probably all went home if this wasn't just a lesson, and that would eat away at them. That eats away at me if I don't stand up for someone, if I see an injustice, and then I just like, oh, it's not my business. Then I go home and I have to live with that, right? In 12-step, we have a saying, minding my own business is a full-time job. But the difference between minding your business and speaking up for others is something that it can be a fine line, but it is something that you get clarity around when you trust in spirit. When you spend that time in sacred silence and go within to know your own values, to know who you are, then those things become clearer. I know I've shared this here before, but my first sponsor once said to me, Lori, you only have one decision you need to make, and that's whether you want to be a woman of integrity or not. Once you decide that, all your other choices, though maybe not easy, will be clear. And I think that's true about your voice, too. I think that's true about silence. That is about being in integrity. It's about being in integrity with who you are and what you believe. And in this teaching, we believe that we are all one, right? It's one mind, one consciousness. So when you don't use your voice to stand up for others, to stand up for the truth, you are complicit in perpetuating the harm in the collective mind. Get that? We talk about how what we think and what we speak creates our world, but also what you don't speak creates your world. Those choices that you make. Ernest Holmes says, social wrongs are the result of individual and collective thinking. Well, your individual thinking goes into the collective. Your individual voice goes into the collective. And so when you don't stand in truth, you are adding to that, I hate to say environment of hate, but you are not adding to a consciousness of love. Let's put it that way. You are not adding to the oneness that we all know is the truth of who and what we are. And I know it can be difficult. It can be difficult to speak up. I have a great example. My niece, I'm so proud of her, my niece Kelly works at a queer bar in Brooklyn, and she's a bartender there. And she has gotten in serious scrapes, let's put it that way, because she refuses to allow hate speech, misgendering, ignorant language in her bar, right? So when she's the bartender, if someone says something, they have drag shows there, they have, it's a very lively and beautiful community, and she draws a firm boundary around what she allows and what she doesn't. And she has had to have the police come in because people have been so aggressive and hateful, when she tells them, you can't speak like that here. And if you're going to continue to speak like that, you're not welcome here. And when that happens, sometimes, people are drinking too, right? So sometimes things escalate. But she stands in the truth. She stands for her community. She stands up for what she believes in. Even though the police one night had to sit outside the bar at closing time to make sure she got home okay. But she doesn't cower away from the truth, and I am so proud of her. And in that way, we can all show up. We can all show up for one another, because when you do that, she was creating a safe space for the people in that bar. When you show up in truth, you create a safe space for others. When you stand up, like in 12-step, we share from our experience, strength, and hope, right? And we share things that are shameful or were shameful, things in our past that were difficult, things that we don't want to tell anyone. But when we do, we create a safe space for others to share the same thing, to share what happened to them, to feel safe to share their experience. And that is one of the ways that you can use your voice to create a safe space for others. That is one of the times that staying silent doesn't serve you or the collective. Because by staying silent, you stay in shame, you stay isolated, and you're not also allowing the space for someone else to grow. If we remember to come from love and not fear, we will always know when it is the right thing to say. When we come back to that place of inner guidance, of truth, of connection with oneness, we will know what is ours to say. Ernest Holmes also says, the highest God and the innermost God is one God. God is in me, as me, is me. And what that means is that your voice is the voice of God. Your voice, when it is connected and aligned with the truth, is the voice of Spirit. And when you suppress it, when you don't speak it, you are suppressing the voice of spirit. And like I said, that's not who we're here to be. And we know that when you suppress what needs to be said, what does that create? Dis-ease, disorder, isolation, separation, all of those things that are not who we want to be in the world, that are not creating a world that works for everyone. So what can you do? I love this thing. Silence is spiritual abdication, not spiritual neutrality. So a lot of times we think that, oh, I'm just gonna stay out of it. But when you realize that your voice is the voice of spirit, that your voice is the voice of truth, you give away that power when you don't speak it. So how can we do this in our daily lives? What can we do to come into a greater expression of this spiritual voice, of this expression of truth? Well, there's lots of ways. You know, what is my favorite thing to say? Daily practices, right? Daily spiritual practices. Build that foundation. Practice and work that muscle so that going within and aligning yourself with spirit becomes your go-to thing. So that you ask yourself those questions. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me now? And then, whatever the answer, you have the courage to do it correctly, to do it in alignment with who you are and with what you believe. Sometimes it might mean being silent. Sometimes it might mean speaking up. And so you can do that in all kinds of ways. You can do it in all little ways in your life so that you can do it in the big ways, right? It doesn't mean you have to go to protest marches and sign letters and, make phone calls. If you're moved to do so, do so. I do. But it also means speaking up in truth in your personal relationships. It means asking yourself, where am I not being honest? Where am I not in alignment? Where am I stifling what I want to say, what needs to be said through me as spirit right here in this conversation? And it doesn't mean being unkind. It doesn't mean being aggressive. It doesn't mean being combative. It means standing calmly in your truth. Confidently in your connection with spirit. Because when you come from that place, like I said, all things are clear. When you come from a place of knowing who you are, knowing your integrity with spirit, those choices are a lot easier. And I know we live in a world where things are very divisive and it seems like it's us against them. But once again, you come from a place of love, not from a place of fear. That's a choice you get to make every day in everything you do. Am I coming from a place of love, or am I coming from a place of fear? Every time you speak or don't speak, what is the reason? Is it to be a greater expression of love, or is it to not make waves? I love waves. Waves are my favorite thing about the ocean. So there's something about like the still, calm water of a lake that's beautiful. But those waves are what create sand and sea glass and, all kinds of beautiful things. So don't be afraid to make waves when it is in alignment with truth. Not for the purpose of creating conflict, but for the purpose of recognizing your truth. And even the Bible says we need to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. That's Proverbs. So this is an old spiritual tradition, to stand in truth. It's nothing new. We didn't invent it. We just have practices now. We have spiritual practices that help us to do it. So I invite you to see how to spend some time and consider how you can do this in your life, how you can be more in alignment, how you can raise your voice. So here we have Rhonda. This is a perfect example. You can raise your voice in joyful praise. You can raise your voice by complimenting others. You can raise your voice, like I said, in protest or speaking out, but you can do it from a place of solidarity rather than from a place of conflict. You can do it by standing up for what you believe in rather than fighting against what you don't believe in. It's all a matter of choice, and it's a matter of being in alignment with the truth of who you are. So, what are you choosing today? What are you standing up for? How are you willing to break the easy silence of going along to get along, and standing in your truth? Think of a way that you can do that you can embody that. It might mean having a difficult conversation. It might just mean being kinder to everyone around you and listening. Because part of knowing when to speak is knowing when to listen, right? Part of speaking, of right speech, of speaking the truth, is being able to listen without judgment to others so that the truth is clear. This is a very important part. And courage, so I have another quote. So courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. That's Winston Churchill. And for me, courage comes from faith. Courage comes from knowing the truth of my oneness with Spirit. That's where I draw my courage from. And I don't, like I said, I don't do it perfectly. I'm doing it better now than I used to. But it comes back again and again to, what do you believe? What do you have faith in? And that is where you will find your voice of courage. And that is how you can show up in the world in a way that creates a world that works for everyone. Just remember, you are not just a messenger. You are the message. You are the divine expressing here on this earth. So what message are you expressing? By your silence or by your voice? What message are you demonstrating with every choice that you make? Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Speak your mind even though your voice shakes." And I would like to add to that, when you are standing in truth, your voice shakes with Spirit. And now I would like to close with an affirmation, so I'd like you all to repeat after me. I am a voice for truth.
I am a voice for truth.
I speak with courage.
I speak with courage.
I act with love.
I act with love.
Spirit speaks through me.
Spirit speaks through me.
And I am not afraid.
And I am not afraid.
Thank you. And now we have beautiful Rhonda Dene.
When Lori and I were talking about songs for today, I'm always want to find songs that are aligned with the message. And these two songs I found, they're both by Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin. I was like, whoa, where did these come from? And I'm glad to be able to do these. The first one was Say That, and this one is simply called Stand Up. My voice is so tired of being kept inside of me.
Amen.
What a noise I'm gonna make when I finally set it free. I'm dying to paint this world whatever color I feel. I'm gonna stand up and be counted. Throw my heart over the line. Let my soul jump up like a fountain. Let it shine like a spark flying into the darkness, like a field of dreams growing wild. Yeah, my song will shatter the silence this time. Right now, this little box don't feel like home to me. Yes, I'm gonna fly across the galaxy. Nobody blocking the light, nothing tying me down. I'm gonna stand up and be counted, throw my heart over the line, let my soul jump up like a fountain, let it shine like a spark flying into the darkness, like a field of dreams growing wild. Yeah, my song will shatter the silence this time. I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna shout, take it all in and let it out. Like a spark into the darkness, like a field of dreams growing wild. Yeah, my song will shatter the silence this time. I'm gonna stand up and be counted, throw my heart over the line, let my soul jump up like a fountain. This time I'm gonna let it shine into that darkness, like a field of dreams growing wild. Yeah, my song will shatter the silence this time. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna shatter the silence. Let it shine. Gonna stand up. Let it shine. Let it shine.
My goodness, could she have picked any two songs more appropriate to the talk today? Rhonda, you are amazing. Oh, it's so perfect and so beautiful. So now I am going to lead you in a little meditation. So I invite you all to close your eyes. This is a Speaking the Truth in Love meditation. So if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, you can just simply lower your gaze, but just gently get comfortable in your seat. Inhale and exhale. Just arriving in the moment. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel your butt on the chair. Feel your body present in this room. Just take a few breaths here. And let your body relax. Let your mind open. Let your heart soften. And then silently affirm to yourself, I am safe. I am centered. I am one with the infinite wisdom of Spirit. Just settle into that knowing, into that trusting, into that place of truth. Now, from this place of safety and truth and connection with oneness, I invite you to bring to mind sometime in the past, or it could be current, where something within you wanted to say something, and perhaps you didn't. Or perhaps you said something but not the whole truth. Perhaps you withheld out of fear. Let the memory come. Just awareness, no judgment, no self-criticism. Just be aware. And then ask yourself, what truth really wanted to be spoken? And what was I afraid would happen if I did, or if I had, or if I do? Just spend a few moments breathing into that awareness. And then ask yourself, what was the cost of my silence? To myself, to others, to the energy around me. What was or is the cost of my silence? As I said before, in Science of Mind, we know that spirit moves through us, as us, and in us. And when we suppress the voice of love, the voice of spirit, we are stopping the flow of spirit in the world. To speak aligned with clarity and intention and alignment with truth is Spirit's work working through you. So silently affirm, my voice is a channel for divine truth. When I speak from love, I heal the world. Truth told in love is liberation. Just let that settle in. Let it sink into your being. And then, from this awareness, visualize that memory again. But this time, see yourself as grounded, clear, calm, and in alignment with truth. visualize yourself speaking. You speak with authority, with calm clarity, with assurance. You are not reacting, you are responding from a place of deep truth and oneness with Spirit. Take a few breaths here and see how that feels. Your heart is open. You are aligned with truth. You are not attached to any outcome. You are simply standing in your integrity. Now repeat silently to yourself, I honor the truth within me. My voice is the voice of Spirit. I speak with clarity, courage, and compassion. Love guides my words. I no longer hide in silence. My voice is the voice of Spirit. Just let those words vibrate through your being. See how it feels to really embody them. See how it feels to really speak from this place of truth, from this place of connection, from this place of integrity with who you are. And then, when you are ready, gently and slowly bring your awareness back to this room, back to this space, empowered by knowing your truth, courageous in your oneness with Spirit. May we always be brave enough to speak when love needs a voice. You can all open your eyes. And I would like us all to say that last one together. May we always be brave enough to speak when love needs a voice.
May we always be brave enough to speak when love needs a voice.
Okay, thank you very much. And now, let's see, it is time for our conscious giving. So this is one way that we get to raise our voice. We get to raise our voice in conscious giving to keep our center, to keep that place that fills us up going, to give and participate in the law of circulation. As we give, so we receive. So I invite you to give from that place of oneness, from that place of gratitude, from that place of joy, from that place of speaking up in your way of giving. That's one way of raising your voice, right, with your dollars. You can also give by signing up for a social hour. I'm going to pass the board around. We still have some opportunities coming up for you to give that way. You can give by Venmo, by PayPal, by text to give. There's a donate button on our website. There are lots of ways to give. Just give from a generous spirit. Give from that heart that is grateful for this community and how it supports you and how it uplifts you. Give from that place because it is returned abundantly. So I invite you to all say this affirmation with me. Today I raise my voice.
Today I raise my voice.
By consciously giving.
By consciously giving.
To the community that supports me.
To the community that supports me.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
And I am grateful.
And I am grateful.
And so it is.
And so it is.
All right. So before we have another song from Rhonda, we have a few announcements, and then I'm going to do a closing spiritual mind treatment, which, by the way, is our word for affirmative prayer. But first, let's see, Science of Mind magazines, we still have some up here, even though it's the end of May. It's a May-June issue, so there's still a lot to be got out of it. And let me tell you, you can read back through May. There's a lot of really great things in May. I read it every morning, and it's fabulous. So there's a there's a place to leave money up there. There's the nickel. If you want your nickel back from the 12, it's $11.95 now. We have, coming up on June 1st, Sound Journey with Kat Roman. Our beautiful Kat Roman is doing another sound journey here. Very limited spots. You need to register on Breeze. I already got my spot. I hope you all have yours. You won't be able to come probably at the last minute. If you think you're just going to come and decide at the last minute, you may miss out. So please register. We also have a live music concert coming up in our park, which is our park, which is because we are moving downstairs. The space outside the downstairs we're calling our park. So on June 22nd, which is the day of our grand opening downstairs, and I'm speaking, so come back, but we are having an outdoor concert. Hopefully the weather agrees with us, and it is with, I can't say this name, Ed Straczynski, and Mark Benfante is going to be playing with him, and it should be fabulous. So make sure that you go on Breeze and sign up for that. There's a flyer up here. Check out the flyer, take a flyer. And the last thing, and this is really important, I said we're moving downstairs. June 22nd is our grand opening. We have to pack up all of this and move it down there. So we need help. We're getting movers to move it, but we need help packing up. So please sign up here. Put when you're available, your email so you can be contacted. But really, this is one way that you can give back to your community. Help us. Help us move into this new incarnation that we're going to have downstairs. It is going to be awesome. So participate and be helpful in that. We encourage you to do that. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, and we have social hour today, thanks to the beautiful Jean Lee. And Vern Miller. And thank you, Vern, for your IT help. And thank you, Rhonda will be up here to grace us with another beautiful song. And once again, what an amazing job of choosing songs you did. Thank you so much. But first, let's end with an affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and to hear these words as if they were your own. Because we are of one mind, they are. And so right here, right now, in the oneness of spirit that is the truth of who and what we are, recognizing the divine presence that exists within each of us, recognizing that we are always open to receive and available to be in alignment with that truth, recognizing that we are here today to grow that alignment, to come into a greater awareness of loving presence. I affirm for each one here and each one listening that we have done just that we have stepped into a greater recognition of how to raise our voices in solidarity, in love, in communion, in joy, and in grateful expression for who we get to be. for how we get to show up in the world. That we have left behind any silence that is not in our highest and best good. That we are always divinely guided and in tune with that truth that makes clear when it is ours to speak and what it is ours to speak. And that we have the courage, individually and collectively together, to step forth into that truth and raise our voices when need be. I am grateful to know this for us, to speak this word, to align myself with that truth. And I am grateful for each one of you for doing the same. And so from this place of deep gratitude and love, I simply release this word into law with complete expectation that it is already done. And so I simply let it go. I let it be. And I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. And now we have Rhonda, and I will be available for Treatment Express, as always, after service.
All right.
Chains binding me. When I see myself as limited by my physicality, I know part of me knows better, and that part will set me free. 'Cause I'm more than I think I am, more than I know I can be. I am body, mind, and spirit, and I choose to live in harmony. When I buy into the drama and believe the lies I hear, those are things that do not serve me, they just hold me in my fear. When I know that I am worthy and not the best that I can be, well, I know my spirit's pleasure is the moments when I truly see that I am more than I think I am, more than I know I can be. I am body, mind, and spirit, and I choose to live in harmony. And every day I'm getting better to feel the love inside of me. 'Cause that love will lead to balance and my true equality. I am more than I think I am, more than I know I can be.